What it says here? Blocking theology destroys atheism with science. Physiology destroys atheism in 9 minutes. If these guys cannot get any stupider.
We established that there's an overwhelming, at least, population that we neglect of atheists that do believe in, I guess, pseudo religiosity, right?
Yeah.
Where would you stem the cause of the people that don't even believe in that, the people that are like, okay, I don't even believe in anything? And do you think it's an issue with them submitting to God, or at least humiliating themselves? Because a trend I see with a lot of these said people is they're very narcissistic on average, and they think like, okay, why would I submit to God? I'm better than that.
This is a really, really good question, and there's even more research. I did a video on this as well.
No, in fact, that's the stupidest question ever. Only Imran Hussein can make. Sorry, I have a dog. Sorry about that. That's the stupidest question ever, guys. One or few of the thousands reasons we know Islam is not true is because it makes pathetic arguments against atheism and Christianity. Allah apparently has the same intelligence like brain-dead radicals. One of the arguments Allah makes against Christianity, for example, is verse 6, 101. How can God have a son without having a wife? That's an argument against Christianity. Against atheism, Allah says they disbelieve because of arrogance. Okay, so apparently Allah has the intelligence of Ali Dawah. Okay, these are pathetic arguments, guys. Let's see how Richard Dawkins answers Allah. There is no refutation. If a refutation ever were to come about, it will come from scientists and not from an idiot. Not a single atheist in human history disbelieved because of arrogance. Not a single one. Okay. The Quran claims that's the main reason. Okay, all atheists believe deep inside, but they have arrogance. Okay, that's an insane claim that just disproves Islam. The Quran gives few silly evidence for its truth that are actually evidence against, and then spends most of its pages mumble, complaining and crying why people disbelieve. Hey, why you don't believe? We don't believe. You don't believe. I will punish you. You don't believe, eh? Why you disbelieve? You believe, eh? Believers not believe. Believers believe. Believe, not believe. Maybe believers believe. Oh, don't believe. Why don't believe the believers? Arrogance. Arrogance. Believe, no believers believe. Arrogance does believe. Disbelieve, arrogance believe, believer believe. Okay, that is the Quran. He gives evidence, comets are demons' missiles, and then cries for 102 pages. That's the Quran. Okay? Give us a fucking break.
What they did was, scientists, I think it was in the States, I'm hazy on the details, I'm just trying to recollect what was done. They did an experiment comparing a group of atheists to a group of people of faith to see if they would respond in the same way to a series of questions. And I think, if I remember rightly, I wish I prepared this in advance, by the way, it would be more precise. But this is under scientific conditions. So you have a control group of atheists, a control group of people of faith, be they Christians or Muslims or whatever. How did they respond biologically? I mean, they were being tested. It's not like, what did they say? You could take their blood pressure, you could take their pulse, you could analyze their physical responses to various verbal stimuli. So I think, again, this is from memory, and I probably got this fairly crude. It's a fairly crude remembrance of this, but so one question was, how do you respond to the idea of your neighbor threatening you? So you know your neighbor, they're going to threaten you. How would you feel about that? And of course, people feel bad about that. You know, that someone could hurt them. And everyone felt the same, be you atheist or believer. And another question was, how would you feel if you were told that God would hurt you, or God would send you to hell? How would you feel about that? Now, an atheist, of course, shouldn't respond to that because it's all spaghetti monster. It's all fiction. It's all myth. The believer, when they'd heard that God was going to send someone to hell, or that God was going to punish someone, and it was true, they did react. It caused a reaction. It was something that meant something to them. So what was the actual physical outcome? What did the scientists deduce? The scientists discovered that the atheists actually also, despite what they think in their heads, they also reacted to the idea that God would do something to their loved one, or send them to hell, or curse them or something. I forget the exact formula, but they also instinctively felt that this was something they could react to. In other words, they reacted like people of faith. They couldn't help themselves, even though in their heads they didn't believe any of it. So what does this show? And it shows that even atheists, hardcore materialist atheists, still can't help but respond to like believers do when God is seen as something threatening them or threatening their loved one. Appearances can be deceptive.
Okay, that was it. That was it. That was the argument. Guys, imagine a world. Well, guys, imagine a world where these guys could defeat atheism in 9 minutes. My friend, if I give you 10,000 years. So let's see the argument. Premise 1. A study was made and atheists reacted psychologically in the illustration of God punishing them. Conclusion. That means that atheists believe in God, they just reject God because of arrogance. That is your argument. Seriously, that is your argument right now. Okay, then.
In the lands of Middle-earth, legend tells of the Dark Lord Sauron and the ring that would give him the power to enslave the world.
So, I guess then, if theists react to Lord of the Rings, that means they believe it's true. That is your argument. That is exactly your argument. If theists react psychologically to Lord of the Rings, that means they believe it's true. How else? How else? It's impossible if you think about it. That is the argument you thought that it destroys atheism in 9 minutes. Okay, so let me now tell you how it destroys you. People who make these arguments and think it's wrong, you are stupid. Okay, so I can then say people who believe in God are stupid. Let's not generalize it, but you personally believe in God because you are stupid. Simple. Okay? Okay, now we know why you four believe in Islam. Because you are dumb. Simple. There is no escape from what I'm saying right now. The mere fact that this argument impressed you means that you are dumb. So, we know now why you believe in God, in Allah, because you are dumb.
Someone can tell you, I'm an atheist, I don't believe anything else. And if you say to them, well, God's going to curse your mother, and they, I don't believe in God. But deep down, they do react. They respond like people who do believe in God. They can't help themselves. They in a fundamental way, react to this existential reality, this theological reality. You see what I mean? I'm explaining it badly, but I'm trying to say that things are not always what they seem on the surface. And again, this is scientific research that was published. So basically, people of faith and atheists all react to God when a threatening scenario involving God is portrayed to them.
When I was young, I saw it. and I couldn't sleep for 3 days. That means I believed this was true. God damn it. Even now, when I see this, I'm still afraid. Whoa. Damn you. Damn you, it. So when I make the video, I should have been like this. When I was young, I saw it, and I'm still afraid. Then I was afraid. Now I'm fine. God damn it.
Even though atheists don't acknowledge it openly, they still biologically, physiologically, emotionally, in their brains respond to it as if it were real.
Yeah.
Even though they deny it, they can't help react to it. And
That's
this
mind
is,
blowing.
this is a scientific finding. So this tells us, to be rude for a second, that most atheists are not really atheists. They're fakes, because deep, deep down, they know the truth. And science is showing this.
Okay, so let's make it even harder. Okay, let's assume what you say is true. Okay, we know that it's not true with 100% certainty, but because you think that's a good argument, let's make it even more difficult for us. Let's say everything you said is true, that atheists deep inside believe in God, but they reject him because they are arrogant. So what? That means that God exists? Eh? No, it doesn't. So what, my friend? Let's say because of the God gene, all atheists deep inside believe in God. Or because we have, I don't know, for some reason. That means that God is true. That's my friend, that's a psychological assessment. That's an assessment for human psychology. It's not for cosmology. That doesn't necessarily mean that God is true.
This is not some kind of theological insight. This is scientific research is showing this. And I thought that was absolutely extraordinary. So I wonder, if Richard Dawkins, if he was hooked up to a test like this, and, someone said to him, a scientist says, and how do you respond to this? And God will curse your mother, or God will and send your mother to hell. And, he would say, doesn't bother me. I don't believe in God. But actually, deep down, he may be troubled by that, like a believer would be.
Okay, you scientists, let's make it the example, including you. What if I come and tell you the spaghetti monster will rape your mother all night? You will be fine, eh? Because it doesn't exist. No reaction psychologically. What that has to do, my friend? Look, let's entertain this argument a little bit more. Okay. In the mind of people, when they say, for example, the spaghetti monster will rape your mother, okay, in the mind of people, they perceive this like a hypothesis. If the spaghetti monster existed, because you are making a hypothetical, my friend. In hypothesis, you can say whatever. When you say to the other person, what if the spaghetti monster was raping your mother? He might get into the hypothesis, my friend. He gets into the hypothesis, your hypothesis, my friend. You are making a hypothesis. You say if. So it's two ways to think about that. Either you will get into the hypothesis, either you will say, in fact, it's insane. What you are expecting from atheists is insane. It's like when you say to them, God will do that, will punish you, you expect them to make a double thought. I don't need to go to this hypothesis because God doesn't exist. No, my friend. They answer your hypothesis directly. Because you are not talking. When you talk to an atheist, he won't make 1,000 words dissertation. If you asked him to make a scientific dissertation, how you call that, he will say that God doesn't exist. But when you directly attack his psychology, obviously he will react psychologically. Obviously. There are many reasons people psychologically react to concepts without the need of the characters in the concepts being true. For example, it reminds me the prosecution against atheists. The concept of hell is disgusting or disgustingly evil. I hate theists who bully me when I was young in the school. I hate my father. Okay, you try to pin down the psychological reason someone reacts to a concept. And the only explanation you give is, they must believe in mythical monsters. Are you serious, my friend? How lazy analysis.
Isn't that interesting?
SubhanAllah.
Bro, I think that's mind blowing. And just think about it for a second, right? God says in the Quran, Allah says in the Quran, you can't, if God chooses to lead someone astray, there's nothing anyone can do to bring them back, right? And it's as if they have this veil covering them to where they can't see, they can't hear. But
Wow. Now Rami is thinking, wow, my friend is saying something very clever. It's wow. All the aspects come together perfectly, like puzzle. Everything comes in place perfectly. Yes. Now I know the truth. How else? This wisdom. How else? Okay. Now let me disprove Islam like 5 times with the nonsense your friend said. Okay, Rami? Wait.
you can't, if God chooses to lead someone astray, there's nothing anyone can do to bring them back, right?
So, you don't believe in free will then, in Islam? In Islam, there is no free will. This is what you just admitted. Okay, Islam disproven. Then, your God punishes people for something he is responsible for. That is what you just said. So, that is your wisdom, eh? So, wait, okay, so now you thought the ideas fit perfectly, like puzzle. How else? This wisdom. And in reality, you just refuted Islam. Okay. Now, can you see your the difference of your delusion with reality? You see it now.
It's as if they have this veil covering them to where they can't see, they can't hear. But that doesn't change the fact that they are still a creation from God.
Yeah.
And the fact is that the creation from God has that fitra, that innate belief. And even science is coming on to this now, where it's like, oh, humans are just
You can test
innately
it.
religious.
Now, Rami thinks, oh wow, my friend is saying so clever things. Atheists are in fact the blind cultists. They have the veil. Atheists are the blind cultists. They have the veil. They don't think. We are in fact the skeptics. Okay, now let's go to reality, Rami.
Fundamentally, this is what I want you to understand. In this conversation, there are two people who are not actually talking on the same level. There is a Muslim who is looking at the world through lenses, green lenses, and he's looking at the world as green. And there is a non-Muslim who is looking at the world through red lenses. So what's happening in the conversation is the Muslim is saying, this is green, this is green, this is green. The non-Muslim is saying, this is red, this is red, this is red. Why is that? The reason is, this is the case is because the Muslim is looking at the world through the lenses of La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah.
Angel, let me understand what is happening here. Okay. As we speak, as this, your friend, Sobur Ahmed, your hero, your teacher, is saying that you have the veil, in fact. Angel, that is what he's saying. That is what he's saying. I also have a veil. Wow, I just realized that. Angel, that is what is happening right now. Your friend is admitting that you have in fact the lenses of la ilaha illallah. But it gets better. See.
He believes that this man called Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the final messenger of God. Therefore, whatever he says is true. Now, what I want to do is this. These are aspects of Islam that we all believe in and accept. What if I come along and I tell you something? I tell you hypothetically, before you do takfir on me, hypothetically, there is a sahih narration of the Prophet ﷺ that you have to wear a yellow hat on Sundays. Hypothetically. Raise your hand if you're going to wear a yellow hat on Sundays.
Wait, Angel. Okay. Yellow hat on Sundays. What does he mean? That if the Quran says you should wear a yellow hat on Sundays, you will blindly wear a yellow hat in Sundays? What does he mean, my friend? I thought atheists have the veil. And they believe because they are arrogant and they don't want to see the evidence. Yet, you admit in public spaces, in classrooms, that you are in fact the blind cultists with the veils. Let's continue.
Yes. Yeah, I wanted to share a benefit that we can all come away with and remember. There is this authentic quote of Ali, the great companion, may Allah be pleased with him. If this religion were based on opinion, then the bottom of the leather socks would be wiped instead of the top. But rather, I saw the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wipe over the top of his leather socks. So there's two main points I just want us all to derive from this and to remember, especially as we react to this upcoming video. And number one, Islam is about following revelation. Islam is about submitting to Allah. Allah knows everything. He sent the Prophet ﷺ with guidance. So we submit to that, we follow that. If our intellect, our conjecture, our perspective conflicts with that, we know the deficiency is with our own perspective, our own conjecture. So that's a very simple, but it's a foundational concept of what Islam actually is.
It's as if they have this veil covering them to where they can't see, they can't hear. But that doesn't change the fact that they are still a creation from God. Yeah. And the fact is that the creation from God has that fitra, that innate belief. Yeah. And even science is coming on to this now as like, oh, humans are just innately religious. Yeah. We're innately religious. So even these atheists who claim to be atheists aren't really atheists. Yeah. So it's like, man, even these people who are astray.
Because there are.
You idiot. Only me can do that. Only me. Only I can prove that you don't really believe in Islam. I have done it in other videos. Don't be confused. Okay? Only I can do that to you. Not you to atheists. Okay, so I think I intellectually raped you enough for one day. Because that's not responses. That's raping. Maybe the police will knock my door. Okay. That's intellectual acceleration. Acceleration, this is a Greek word. I don't know if there is in English. That's that's what that is. That's not responses. That's just me. That's the truth, my friend. Okay, so don't be so confident. Anyway, thank you very much, people. See you.